So we've had a few changes to the employer panel. Life gets in the way no matter how much you plan. Derek Hanley from Peggy Canane's is out of the country. However, we knew that Derek was going to be out of the country, so we filmed his presentation and we'll be showing you an interview with Derek as part of the panel presentation. Joe from Mariano's just called me a half hour ago and is broken down on the expressway, so he doesn't think he can come. I know, I'm really sad. If I can get to Mariano's and do a video presentation with them, I'll send it to everybody, but it won't be in the near future. Mike Seebacher from Palatine Police Department is replacing Al Stokel, who's otherwise occupied today. So thanks for stepping in, Mike. But Mike, I think, has worked with Allie quite a bit, so he'll be an equally wonderful presenter. So let me just go through a little bit about the people who we're going to be hearing from today. Derek Hanley opened Peggy Canane's in Arlington Heights about 8 years ago. He received the Disability Employment Awareness Award from the Arlington Heights Commission for Citizens with Disabilities in 2017. And every day, Derek told me, there's always someone with a disability working at Peggy Canane's, which is quite an accomplishment. Mike has been a member of the Palatine Police Department since 1988 and is currently the Deputy Chief of Police. He's a graduate of the University of Louisville Southern Police Institute and the FBI National Academy, and he also serves as a board member for the Bridge Youth and Family Services. And Tim Engstrom is head of supply chain and logistics for Laco Industries based in Oak Grove Village. Additionally, Tim has been an adjunct professor at the Elmhurst College's Supply Chain Management Master's Program since 2005, where in addition to teaching classes, he mentors a group of graduate students each year in implementing a capstone project that analyzes and implements solutions to supply chain challenges. Tim's going to talk a little bit, obviously, about his experiences as an employer at LACO, but also about the HOPE Handbook, which is a guidebook for disability hiring. Really, we're hoping to bring him back with the rest of his team for a Friday Forum next year, because what they're doing to show employers how to hire people with disabilities is really wonderful and something we hope to share with other people. So please help me welcome what we're going to do. Tim has a video and PowerPoint that he's going to do. Then Mike will speak for a few minutes, and then we'll show the video from Peggy Canane's with Derek, and then we'll do questions at the end, okay? So bear with us. We got a little bit of logistical tech to do, but I think it's going to work fine. So please help me welcome, to start off, Tim Engstrom.
What I'm going to show you today is a video of the implementation of the disability hiring program that I put into place at Laco Industries. And then from there I'll show you the results and kind of talk about the whole handbook, which is a guide for disability hiring that we're using for helping businesses get over the fear of the unknown of implementing a disability hiring program.
My name is Chris Dieters. I work for Laco Industries. I pick different products for different companies around the world. It took me a little while to get it used to the job. I've never been in the setting before of a warehouse.
All my previous jobs weren't working out, so I figured maybe I'll go back to Elsa, and that's how I networked with Garrett. And he said, hey, I might have a job for you in mind, and had an interview and got hired in June.
I knew that I needed to hire some folks who were having turnover issues. I had experience in hiring and working with folks with disabilities previously, and I thought that could be a great market to tap into for here.
It's been an awesome collaboration to be able to work with an external company from a college setting, but then also give our students that real life experience being given full-time employment. I always tell our students before they started is that I would never put them in a situation where they couldn't do the job, because I know that if they can do the job, we can work on the communication piece as we get there.
Well, the official role that I have here is a packer/shipper.
Can I brag about you?
If you want to, go ahead.
So William has very good attention to detail.
Based on his personality and his characteristics, we brought him in for that position, and he's really excelled.
All the jobs I had were either just part-time because they just didn't have the kind of hours that they wanted, or they felt I wasn't qualified to work full-time.
Some of the managers I've had, they just didn't really know how to work with people with disabilities, and that really got stressful in a job with Tim, and you know, Jim and Garrett and Elsa, they're helping me out. I think they're kind of getting to know us more with people with disabilities.
The supervising staff are more understanding than those in other places.
We're not training just the students, which I think this is how it's been done in the past. We're training the staff at LACO on how to work with our students. I think that's the biggest piece of this model is of why it works out. So what we did was we took away the unknown. You know what I'm saying? We communicated with them and saying, this is the strategies you should use. You know what I'm saying? This is how it will help you be successful. And then we also found natural supports that lie within. Those natural supports are other individuals who work congruently with our students. And our students will know from Elsa and our program how to advocate for themselves and how to ask questions. So then our students became more and more confident as they come on through here with kind of what they need to do on a daily basis and also people to go to.
Our abled workforce that was already here before took them under their wing like they were their big brothers. That aid, plus always having a positive attitude from our PWD workforce, started to change the overall culture.
I think bringing these guys in definitely motivated our group, motivated the company as a whole.
I've seen a huge change in the shipping department. I've seen a great camaraderie being developed. There just seems to be a great energy there that I haven't seen before.
I know ELSA is a great platform for what we're trying to do from a career standpoint. The curriculum and also the living independent piece morphs them together that once they graduate in 4 years, they will be ready to work full time.
As my dad kind of sort of maybe glibly remarked, he kind of thinks this job's kind of been a godsend in a way. I wouldn't say I'd go that far. It's a godsend, but maybe it's luck or something. But this is the first full-time job I've had in my life.
Maybe one day I'll become a supervisor or maybe something like that, a leadership role in the future. So we'll see what happens.
My confidence has grown since I've started working here.
To tell you the truth, I kind of wish I had this job maybe like 5 years ago, but it is a good job, I would have to say. I think Elsa and Garrett, they're doing a good job.
So the folks in the video are the first ones that we hired into our disability hiring program. A little bit about LACO. LACO is a family-owned business, 86 years old, a union environment, and never embarked on a journey of hiring folks with a disability, and thought that we would have, that we weren't ready for it. So with some convincing and using the HOPE handbook and implementing the program, we've had some great success. I want to show you the results from this. Most businesses want to see, is there a payback of embarking on this type of journey? And for us, we have seen a huge improvement in our operating performance from on-time order fulfillment. So that's getting orders in, through, and out to our customers. We have significantly improved that from our business perspective. From an operating profit perspective, there was a comment earlier about nervousness about productivity. We've actually seen our productivity improve because these folks come to work and they're there early every day, 30 to 45 minutes. And if they want to take a day off, they're letting us know 2 weeks in advance. We can plan for that. And they are studying. Every day they come in, they know what they need to do. They love accomplishing a task. And that is paying huge benefits across the entire organization. Instead of having ups and downs and just getting through the day, these folks are helping us with a morale perspective to take advantage and be appreciative of the work that we're able to do. And that's paying off in the benefits. And that's from a cost perspective as well. Because we are now full staffed, we don't have to ask people to work over all the time, because we have people there every day. And these folks were key in solving that problem for me. And then we always want folks to go home the way they come in. So from a safety perspective, we are now 15 months accident-free across the entire organization. And a big part of that starts with morale and wanting to do a good job, and just to having them, and you saw in the video, doing the stretches and all that, we never did that before. And because we started this program, now everyone wants to kind of have that type of interaction. And then lastly, we've been full staff almost a year now. We started this program June 19th of last year is the first day. And what we did is we followed the Hope Handbook. The Hope Handbook is a program that I helped co-author with some grad students at Elmhurst College. So I mentor a group of grad students every year in the supply chain master's program. And I had an idea from my experiences trying to start a program back in 2008. We were asked to start a disability hiring program, and one of the questions I had was I didn't know where to start. I didn't know if we were ready from a facility perspective, and most importantly, I didn't know if my staff was ready to manage differently. And we wanted to get an evaluation to see how can we be ready to manage a different type of individual, and is there someone out there to help us determine that? And I couldn't find that. So I had great success in having folks send us candidates. I did not have a lot of good success in someone coming in and evaluating the operation to see what we need to do. And most importantly, evaluate, is the team ready to be more patient and increase their communication and manage more one-on-one versus a community type of one-size-fits-all approach. And that was one of the big things that we wanted to solve with the Hope Handbook. The first two, the Hope, the H and the O, that's really the assessment within an organization. What's the current hiring practices, what's the needs? And then we walk through and kind of observe the operation. So Dale talked this morning about the match process with the candidate to the job. The H&O process is walking through a facility and seeing what are the tasks that would be able or open to handle someone that has a disability to start the program. And then from there you do the preparatory phases, and then you start the hiring process. And that's really what the Hope Handbook is all about. So Dale talked about the climb a little bit in a different format, but from the candidate perspective, we follow that same approach from an employer perspective. So we go in, we understand the job function. We actually perform the job like we're a new hire. And as we're being trained, we go through the task and rate it 1, 2, 3. If it's a 1, it means it's fairly intuitive and anyone can pick this up. If it's a 3, there's more work to be done, and we try and break down those tasks into a 1 that anyone can get it fairly easy. Now this is a benefit not only for someone that has a disability, but anyone that's coming into an organization, and because it helps everyone follow the same processes and everyone understand the steps that need to get done more readily. Interview process, this is where we get something unique. In working with families that have children with disabilities, there's some anxiousness of sending their child off to a school or to work, and is that environment safe for them? Is that environment going to be welcoming for them? And is that environment, how do they handle when there's a situation where someone's just having a bad day? So the interview process, what we did is we did some mock interviewing with our management team, but we invited the families and the candidates into our facility for a tour to see the operation. Then we went and interviewed the individuals, and then we did a Q&A session afterwards. So when someone's coming in, they felt comfortable that they're giving their loved one, they're going to come into work for an 8-hour day, 40-hour week type of scenario. From a job coaching, we went and really spent most of our time job coaching the management team on how to work differently. And what we found especially in manufacturing and distribution, you're only talked to when there's a problem. If there's no news, it's good news. And that's not always a good thing when you're dealing with someone that's starting a job or someone has a disability that needs that positive reinforcement. So we teach the management team a concept we call a positive sandwich. So every time you talk to someone, you always start with a positive interaction. Hey, you're doing a great job. Here's the things that we want you to kind of focus in on, and then end with a positive statement as well. I'm really happy that you're here today. So it's starting with positive, so you lower the defensiveness. You talk about what you need to talk about, and then you reinforce them and saying you're doing a great job, keep working on it. So they're not obsessing about that as you walk away. So that was a big thing. And then if there's any modifications, when we implement this at LACO, we didn't spend any money on modifications. It was just teaching people how to interact differently and more one-on-one. And then as that support and they get more and build more confidence, we fade that support and then they're on their own. And that's really the program that we put in at LACO. I do want to share that the folks, we are a unionized environment. They are all part of the union. They are making the same wages, they make the same benefits as our able workers. And it's significantly higher than the minimum wage. They're working side by side with everyone else, and we treat them no different. In fact, they're helping us treat our other folks more one-on-one, and that's what's helping our morale across the organization. So we are working on implementing this, in other companies. So I'm mentoring another grad student group, and we're implementing this program at Medline up in Waukegan. So Waukegan, we have hired one individual so far. 3 more are going to be hired next week. Their goal, they went from being hesitant to now they're all on board, and they have 125 openings in their one facility, and they would love to fill the majority of those jobs with some type of person with disability. The beautiful thing of, and I'm taking a long time, but the beautiful thing of this is we're teaching employers to, the modifications is that there's not a lot of opportunities for folks to come out and work full-time right away. And so we were teaching the employers to come up with a STEP program of, can we work them so many hours per day and build their confidence and their endurance. And as build that confidence and endurance, we can expand their hours and get them to a 8-hour day, 40-hour week, and full-time employment. And that's all I have for this. If anyone is looking for employment or jobs, I'm working on the next grad student group, and I'm targeting another employer to go and implement this program. I have a lot of employers. This is my 8th time talking about this in the last 2 months. A lot of employers have been reaching out to me to say, come help me. So we are working on figuring that out and how to support that. And we're looking for different agencies and areas to supply us candidates so we can bridge that gap. So if you can send me an email to that email address, that would be really appreciated. Thank you.
Basically, just one employee we have, a young lady with disabilities that came to us. Actually, she came to us. We didn't go seeking, and so this was kind of a meant to be match, I think. So a couple of years ago, Palatine High School, through their ATP program, Adult Transition Program, reached out to the Palatine Police Department and was wondering if we'd be willing to take on a volunteer to get an experience and see what it would be like to be out in the working world, and did we have any work for someone who'd want to volunteer some time. So we thought this would be a great idea, of course, with public budgets always being at their minimum, and our support staff hardly finding time to get the job done every day. They said we'd be grateful to have a volunteer. So Allison, who was a student at Palatine High School at the time, was approaching her maximum age, I think, that she could be in the ATP program. And she came over to meet with our staff, with her parents, and get a little tour of the facility and see what types of things maybe she could volunteer for. And right away, we realized what a wonderful addition she was going to make to the police department. As you can imagine, sometimes working in a police department, there's a lot of, let's just say, rough around the edges employees, people that have maybe some issues of burnout and low morale. So our job is always to try to keep as positive as we can. And we went and met Allison, we said she's gonna help us with that tremendously. So she started off in a role as volunteering a few hours a week, and basically we had to learn, because we had never hired someone or worked with someone in a volunteer capacity that had disabilities before. And so it was a learning curve for us, as it was for Allison. We were learning, what types of skills she could bring that we could utilize. And at first, we just decided, obviously, without any formal program like they had at Laco, just take it one step at a time. And she started off with some simple tasks, such as delivering mail around the offices and shredding papers that needed to be shredded. But after a while, we realized she had a lot more capability than that, and we started trying things out, asking, do you know how to alphabetize things? Do you know how to, put things in order? We started realizing that there was still a lot more that she could accomplish, simply more than just delivering mail or shredding paper. So we decided, after she was with us for a few months, to expand a little bit of her work tasks, which included things such as pulling files, alphabetizing. A lot of times what happens in our police department is work that's clerical gets set aside for when there's a slower time. That never seems to come, so things build up and they get to get pushed aside. So we have a lot of piles of things that need to get taken care of. After Allison was doing that with us and expanding her horizons and what she was accomplishing for us, people at the police department started to vie for her, wanting her to come work at their, next to their desk. So we've got the records section, we've got a front desks area, we've got some other offices, and everybody wanted Allison to work with them. So for the first few months she was with us, and certainly when she was a volunteer at first, she really didn't have a specific place, but we decided we needed to formalize it. So after we're talking with her parents and having some more meetings with Allison, we decided that we were going to try to create a position for her where she would get paid and be a hired employee, because the work she was doing was very valuable to us, and we thought this is something I think we could sell to our village manager. So basically, she sold herself to us. We were able to show all the clerical work she was accomplishing so that we could catch up on things that needed to get done. And our village council and the village manager approved creating a position for Allison. It's a part-time position still right now, may expand at some point. So she is a paid employee. She works 3 days a week at the police department. And as the time has gone on, we've created a position for her that we're hoping will help her learn to go out in the work world if she needs to go full-time. We unfortunately couldn't get the funding for full-time yet, but we've given her her own desk. We've got her own computer. We've got our IT department to get her own email. So now, people that need work done can email her, and then she'll be able to, get her tasks for the day that way. We had some concerns at the beginning. Of course, we were concerned about, will there be a lot of mistakes? Do we have to oversee everything, that she's doing? And it was just one of those situations where, we just took it little by little, step by step. And of course, the challenges at first is it does take a little longer for her maybe to learn a task, but once she learns it, and then you can step back and she runs with it, she's very dependable. We've been impressed with that. The fact that she is always so positive, says hi to everybody, and gets everybody motivated is probably one of the most valuable assets she brings to the table. The fact that I don't think she's ever complained about any task that we give her. There's many times when there's employees that I just know that Allison didn't show up that day, and she does show up 99% of the time, never late. That would be a disappointing factor for them. So in the end, like I said, where we're at right now is we only have one person that we have right now in this limited capacity, part-time. But we're hoping to make that full-time in the future. And if anybody asks me, they're considering hiring somebody with disabilities in their business and they've never done it before. Of course, I didn't realize we had some formalized programs out there that could help us set this up. But I say you have nothing to lose, and you'll be surprised at the positive that they bring into your work environment, and it's something that if you don't try it, then you'll never know what you could gain. So that's our experience, with the Palatine Police Department.
So Paul's going to get the Peggy Canane's video up, but I did want to speak to something that Mike said, which is so true of what we found in our employment work, that a lot of places will say, well, we don't have any job openings, or we're not hiring right now. But sometimes if you can just walk around and look around and see the fact that Allison can do work that the officers or other staff were doing, that frees them up to do higher level tasks. That's a really big benefit to a business. I talked with someone she got a job in the hospital, and the nurses at the end of their shift were having to go and pick up all the papers and drop them all off, and the nurses at the end of their shift, that was like the last thing they wanted to do. So by hiring someone to do that, it freed the nurses up to do nursing work rather than delivery work and clerical work. So I think part of our job as parents, if you're out in the community, look around. What's not getting done at a business that maybe your son or daughter could do? What are people doing that's sort of below their pay grade that our kids would be great at? It can be something repetitious that other people find annoying because it's repetitious. Our kids, some of them really like that repetition. So all of our kids are different. They all look for different things, but just because there's not a official job opening doesn't mean that there's not work to be done. So, Derek, thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us just a little bit first about yourself and your business?
Sure. Well, my name is Derek Hanley. I'm the owner here. I've been open for 17 years in Arlington Heights here. I'm a contemporary Irish upscale pub, very family friendly. I'm originally from Ireland. I came out to America when I was 20 years old with a couple of friends and lived on the East Coast and moved around over the years here and ended up in Chicago.
So what's your first experience working with somebody with a disability? Is Peggy Canane's the first experience or somewhere else?
Yeah, it is actually the first experience. I've never worked, in the workplace previously with people with disabilities, believe it or not. So when I started to, get involved here with disabled people, it was a first experience and a good experience.
Great work, Oliver. Thanks. You're welcome.
What do you have to do with those papers?
I have to fold them.
Okay. You got them ready for the staff?
Yeah. Well, it smells great back here, Oliver. You got a good place to work, huh? Yeah.
So what concerns did you have? Because I would imagine when you first hire somebody, maybe there's some reservations there, anything that...
I'll be honest with you, and I spoke to my wife about this morning, and we were kind of briefly chatting about certain questions, and I really didn't have any concerns, and I think that's one of the things that employers that maybe are skeptical and maybe a little afraid to employ is that they're scared, I think, for the wrong reasons. My staff here that I have 6 now that work for me, have just been easy to work with and have had no problems, really no concerns whatsoever.
That's great. Tell me a little bit about the first person you hired.
Well, the first person I've hired is still with me. Her name is Kathy. She's been here probably about 13 years.
Oh, that's great.
And she works every Friday and Saturday. She's quite the personality. She rolls silverware. So we put her in the kitchen, we set up a table for her, and she comes in around 6 o'clock. She'll stay till about 8:45. She's dropped off, she's picked up, and she is she's a character herself. I mean, she's in her 50s now, and she fires my son every weekend, who's 26-year-old manager here. This is part of her personality, where she just kind of runs around the place giving orders, and we just love her for who she is. Our place wouldn't be the same without her.
Oh, that's great. So tell me a little bit about some of your other employees. What jobs did they do for you?
Okay, I have one gentleman at the door. He's been with me for 12 or 13 years also. He's here a long time. He also holds down a regular full-time job during the day. That he's been at that company for 26 years. Believe it or not, he happens to be a neighbor of mine. He lives fairly close to me in Palatine. His family have been coming here for years. He's a host at the front door. He works anywhere from 3 to 4 shifts a week based on how we need him. And he loves coming to work. He just loves coming to work. You know, he'll actually call me up and ask me, can he come to work tonight, or do you need me tonight? You know, so, and we see, you know, the difference in him when he walks in the door. This is really home away from home for him. You know, really, the rest of my staff just, you know, take him under their wing, and we look out for him. We take care of him. I have a girl who comes in here. Her name is Rachel. She's here a couple of days a week. She's my newest employee. She's been here maybe 5 or 6 months. She's blind, and she's got some other disabilities as well. She rolls silverware 2 days a week. And the one thing I love about Rachel and her mom, you know, and how the parents are involved, is that, you know, Rachel rolls silverware. She sits right back here where we're sitting, and her mom created this picture frame that's the same size as a napkin when you open up the napkin. So she opens up the napkin and she puts it inside this picture frame, and it sits in there perfectly. And inside this picture frame are 2, for what it's worth, chopsticks that are glued to the bottom, the base of it. So when she puts the napkin in, she puts the silverware in between those chopsticks, and that's her.
She can feel it.
She can feel it, and that's her guide, you know, to roll it up. And, you know, and her mom, Michelle, you know, comes in here. She has a couple of girls that are with her every week also, but I love to see her mom in here, and, you know, see the smile it brings to her mom's face. And so Rachel is my newest employee. I also have a gentleman that works in the kitchen. His name is Oliver. He's got autism. He's here 2 days a week. He will do everything from separating cheeses, labeling, you know, when the food was put together, wrapping lemons for our seafood. He'll roll silverware. He'll roll the aprons and napkins and towels together for my kitchen staff. And he's been here Oliver's been here at least 18 months.
So Oliver, how do you like working here?
Great.
You've been working here for a while now, right?
Yeah.
So you like it? So tell me what you're working on.
Oh, I'm working on aprons and towels.
All right, is that the first thing you do every time when you come into work?
Yeah.
Pretty much? Cool. How many days a week do you work?
Tuesday to Thursday.
All right. So this is the end of your work week. Last day. Then you come back on next Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I'm coming back Tuesday. I'm gonna work every day.
All right. So what's your favorite part of working here? What do you like? What part of the job is your favorite?
Doing cheese,
Oh,
lemons,
geez. Nice.
aprons and towels.
All right.
And then I have Sam, who's away in college right now. He's got autism. He's a full-time bus boy in the summer here. When he comes home over spring break and Christmas, and he comes here and he works, you know, anywhere from 15 to 30 hours a week. Unbelievable worker. This man is unbelievable. You know, he drives his own car, but personality, he's funny, you know. And I tell you, you know, one of my hardest working people here, and I mean that, one of my hardest working individuals here. You know, we just love having him. We love having Sam, yeah.
I'll let his mom know. She probably does know. So how does, you have obviously other employees that work here. How do they interact with your employees with disabilities? Do you feel like you're training them in some way on how to work with people with disabilities, or is it just sort of a natural thing?
I'd say it's a combination of both. You know, I mean, I noticed that the staff that we have here, they really interact and look forward to having, you know, them walk into work, and as I said, they all have different personalities, and they're funny in their own little ways, you know, and my staff here have been here. I have a lot of longevity, you know. I have my original bartenders that I opened 17 years, and a lot of my wait staff are here 10 years plus, and kitchen staff. So they have been working side by side with you know, them for a long time. So it makes a big difference in their day at work too, because, you know, we do look forward to them coming into work, that it just kind of lightens the mood and puts everybody in a, I think we count our blessings at the same time, you know, and, you know, and it does make such a big difference to the workplace, working side by side with people with disabilities.
That's great. How about your customers? Have you seen any?
Oh yeah, I have seen, because a lot of my customers here have been coming in here since we opened, and I think they really appreciate what we do. And I'll tell you, you know, a lot of the people, my employees with disabilities, I've met them through here, through their families, you know, at least 5 of them out of the 6. And that's how I kind of started, you know, and so they'll come in when their families are working, when they're, you know, and the customers themselves have gotten to know the majority of, by name, of our employees, you know, and it does make a difference to them, and they will tell us and remind us, you know, how grateful and thankful they are that we do, you know, what we do, and when we do it for the reasons that are our reasons, and that's simply because we want to give them the opportunity and make them feel important, excuse me, and special and part of the community in the workplace. Exactly, yes.
So, because we always tell families that it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So, like you say, some of the people you've hired, they're customers of your restaurant that have been here for a long time. They know you, you know their kids to start off with. I think that's a great way to make employment relationships, whether it's here or anywhere else in the community.
Absolutely, yes.
So what do you think are the most positive aspects of having employees with disabilities for your business?
I think it's very simple. That answer is just what it, just as I've kind of answered it, it just what it brings to the workplace. It brings happiness, it brings a positive outlook, and it brings a different type of energy to our business. It really does.
So we talked a little bit about Michelle and how she helps Rachel by getting the, you know, kind of modifying the work so that her daughter can be successful. Are there any other things that you would like parents to know? Like what could they do to better prepare their son or daughter to work and to just be a part of the community? Any advice that you would have?
Well, I suppose, you know, every child's needs are different. You know, I think that's something that obviously has to be taken into consideration. I certainly would encourage them, you know, to give them all the confidence in the world that they need. And if you do find the right employer, you know, I try to treat, you know, my employees with, you know, very similar. You know, if one of my, you know, special needs kids are not working like I need them to work, you know, I need to be able to call them aside and say, okay, here's what I need, you know, and sometimes you have to have that firm touch and let them know that, you know, they are here and the job that they perform is an important job. You know, and I need to give them the guidance, and I think that the parents, you know, they need to give them the guidance and get them ready for the workplace by, I suppose, preparing them for a different authority figure. You know, they've had their parents in their life, and this is who they have come to depend on, and their siblings. And now you're going to go into the workplace with maybe a stranger, or in cases like me, I'm not a stranger because I've gotten to know, but I think just preparing them for a different authority figure and letting them know that, you know, this gentleman or this lady is going to be, you know, your boss now, and you need to be able to listen to them, and they're here to help you, but be prepared, you know, to be given direction from them.
Right, I agree. And how about other businesses? What could you say to another business to say, you know, people with disabilities make great employees? What would be your advice to another business if they're thinking about hiring someone?
Oh my God, well, you know, I think for the businesses that don't have people with disabilities, they're missing out. And I would really encourage them to jump on board here and make our special needs kids part of the community, people with disabilities, make them feel important, because they are important. And you know, it does bring a different level and a different atmosphere to the workplace. And if you're not hiring them, you're really missing out on a good thing for your business.
Well, thank you for saying that. I mean, that's our message always to businesses, that our kids make great employees if they're given the chance, particularly if you match their skills with what a business needs. We could really do wonderful things for a business, and we generally find that our employees are very loyal and you know, hardworking when they get that right fit. So I really appreciate you saying that. And I do want to recognize too that your business received the 2017 Disability Employment Awareness Award from the Arlington Heights Commission for Disabled Citizens. So I'm sure you're honored for that. I think that's fantastic.
Yes.
And you know, thank you just for hiring people with disabilities and for spreading the word that they do make good employees. We appreciate that as a family and as a community. Is there anything else that you'd like to share? But for us, we just want to thank you for your time and all that you've done.
Well, you're welcome, and thanks for having me. We are, in a family-run business. As I said, my wife works here, my youngest son is here, and we're just very proud to be a part of a community and very proud to be hire people with disabilities, and we will continue to do so. And I will encourage my fellow business owners to do the same, and I have done that since I've received that award. So we're just we're happy to be here for them.
Oh, great! Thank you so much. We really appreciate all that you do.
You're welcome.
And you
Thanks,
have a great
Linda.
restaurant.
Thanks, Linda. I appreciate it. Spread the word.
Thanks for the time. I
Thank
will.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
Good job.
So I am such a sap, I have to say, that during that interview, both conducting the interview and listening to the interview, I get choked up by stuff that he says. I think I love being able to recognize businesses who recognize that our kids make great employees if they just need to be given the chance. So whether you employ one person or 51 people, thank you for making the leap, and thank you for spreading the word that our kids are great employees if they're in the right job. All right, well, I want to thank you both for coming so much, and thank you all for coming. Please fill out your evaluations and leave them at the door. Hopefully we'll see you next year. Thank you, everybody.